Hey, everybody. So glad you're with us tonight. Let me make sure that we're on. Yeah, so glad that you guys are with us tonight. Thanks for being here for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. This is chapter 50. Krishna establishes Dwarka. So this is a pretty, I would say, adventurous chapter, to say the least. There's going to be a whole lots of fighting and carrying on. Krishna came to kill the demons, and he's going to do a really nice job of it in this particular chapter. So I hope you enjoy. We start out with pranams. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutade Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devim Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyat Yaresha Tarane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas, Hari Gaura Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jai, Hare Krishna. So very nice to have you here. And for whoever sees this in the future, we're grateful that you're witnessing this wonderful story of the personality of God, known as Srimad Bhagavatam. We're in the 10th canto, chapter 50, and I'll start by reading. Sukadeva Goswami said, when Kamsa was killed, O heroic descendant of Bharata, his two queens, Ashti and Prapti, went to their father's house in great distress. The sorrowful queens told their father, King Jarasandha of Magadha, all about how they had become widows. Hearing this odious news, O king, Jarasandha was filled with sorrow and anger, and he began the greatest possible endeavor to rid the earth of the Yadavas. With a force of 23 Akshuhini divisions, he laid siege to the Yadu capital, Mathura, on all sides. Although Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he is the original cause of the world, when he descended to the earth, he played the role of a human being. Thus, when he saw Jarasandha's assembled army surrounding his citizens like a great ocean overflowing its shores, and when he saw how this army was striking fear into his subjects, the Lord considered what his suitable response should be according to the time, place, and specific purpose of his current incarnation. The Supreme Lord thought, since it is such a burden on the earth, I will destroy Jarasandha's army, consisting of Akshuhinis, of foot soldiers, horses, chariots, and elephants, which the king of Magadha has assembled from all subservient kings and brought there together. But Jarasandha himself should not be killed, since in the future he will certainly assemble another army. This is the purpose of my present incarnation, to relieve the earth of its burden, protect the pious, and kill the impious. I also assume other bodies to protect religion and to end irreligion wherever it flourishes in the course of time. Sukadeva Goswami continued, as Lord Govinda was thinking in this way, two chariots as effulgent as the sun suddenly descended from the sky. They were complete with drivers and equipment. The Lord's eternal divine weapons also appeared before him spontaneously. Seeing these, Sri Krishna, Lord of the senses, addressed Lord Sankarshan. The Supreme Lord said, my respected elder brother, see this danger which has beset your dependents, the Yadus, and see, dear master, how your personal chariot and favorite weapons have come before you. The purpose for which we have taken birth, my lord, is to secure the welfare of our devotees. Please now remove from the earth the burden of these 23 armies. After Lord Krishna had thus invited his brother, the two Dasaras, Krishna and Balaram, wearing armor and displaying their resplendent weapons, drove out of the city in their chariots, and only a very small contingent of soldiers accompanied them. So someone else? Just take 10. We got Vamsi now.
I think Bhavananda is going to read.
All right.
If that's all right. And then
Perfect.
Vamsi Prabhu.
Perfect.
10 or 15?
This would be 17.
No.
Oh,
16.
10 verses. Yeah, 10
Okay,
verses.
I got the 17 part.
You got it. Sorry about that.
Okay. First word.
Jarasandha.
Jarasandha looked at the two of them and said, "O Krishna, lowest of men, I do not wish to fight alone with you, since it would be a shame to fight with a mere boy. You fool who keep yourself hidden, O murderer of your relatives, go away. I will not fight with you. You, Rama, should gather your courage and fight with me. If you think you can do it, you may either give up your body when it is cut to pieces by my arrows and thus attain heaven, or else kill me." The Supreme Lord said, real heroes do not simply boast, but rather show their prowess in action. We cannot take seriously the words of one who is full of anxiety and who wants to die. Sukadeva Goswami said, just as the wind covers the sun with clouds or a fire with dust, the son of Jara marched toward the two descendants of Madhu,
Yep.
and his huge assemblage of armies surrounded them. Their soldiers, chariots, flags, horses, and charioteers. The women stood in the watchtowers, palaces, high gates of the city. When they could no longer see Krishna and Balaram's chariots, identified by their banners marked with the emblems of Garuda and a palm tree, they were struck with grief and fainted. Seeing his army tormented by relentless and savage rain of arrows from the massive opposing forces gathered like clouds about him, Lord Hari twanged his excellent bow,
Shanga.
Shanga, which both gods and demons worship. Lord Krishna took arrows from his quiver, fixed them on the bowstring, pulled back and released endless torments of sharp shafts, which struck the enemy's chariots, elephants, horses, and infantrymen. The Lord, shooting his arrows, resembled a blazing circle of fire. The elephants fell to the ground, their foreheads split open. Cavalry horses fell with severed necks. Horses fell with their chariots fell with their horses, flags, drivers, and masters all shattered. The foot soldiers collapsed with severed arms, thighs, and shoulders. On the battlefield, hundreds of rivers of blood flowed from the limbs of the humans, elephants, and horses who had been cut to pieces. In these rivers, arms resembled snakes, human heads, turtles, dead elephants, islands, and dead horses. Crocodiles, hands and thighs appeared like fish, human hair like waterweed, bows like waves,
What happened?
weapons like clumps of bushes. The rivers of blood teemed with all of these. Chariot wheels looked like terrifying whirlpools and precious gems of and ornaments resembled stones and gravel in the rushing red rivers, which aroused fear in the timid, joy in the wise. With the blows of his plow weapon, the immersively powerful Lord Balaram destroyed
Mahendra's
military force. And though this force was as unfathomable and fearsome as an impassable ocean, for the two sons of Vasudeva, the lords of the universe, the battle was hardly more than play. For him who orchestrates creation, maintenance, and destruction of three worlds, and who possesses unlimited spiritual qualities, it is hardly amazing that he subdues an opposing party. Still, when the Lord does so, imitating human behavior, sages glorify his acts. Did I get 10 in?
Probably. I think you did.
I can't remember where I started.
Has he finished?
Yep. Go ahead, and someone else. Would someone else like to read now?
Yeah, so from 29.
Mhm.
For him, from 30. Jarasandha, with his chariot lost and all his soldiers dead, was left with only his breath. At that point, Lord Balram forcibly seized the powerful warrior, just as one lion takes hold of another. With the divine news of Varuna and other mortal robes, Balrama began tying up Jarasandha, who had killed so many foes. But Lord Govinda still had a purpose to fulfill through Jarasandha, and thus he asked Balrama to stop. Jarasandha, whom fighters have highly honored, was ashamed after being released by the two lords of the universe, and thus he decided to undergo penances. On the road, however, several kings convinced him with both spiritual wisdom and mundane arguments that he should give up his idea of self-abnegation. They told him, "Your defeat by the Yadus was simply the unavoidable reaction of your past karma." All of the armies having been killed and himself neglected by the personality of Godhead, King Jarasandha, son of Brihadratha, then sadly returned to the kingdom of the Magadhas. Lord Mukunda had crossed the ocean of his enemies' armies, and with his own military force completely intact, he received congratulations from the denizens of heaven, who showered him with flowers. The people of Mathura, relieved of their feverish anxiety and filled with joy, came out to meet him as professional bards and heralds and panegyrists sang in praise of his victory. As the Lord entered his city, conch shells and kettle drums sounded, and many drums, horns, veenas, flutes, and mridangas played in concert. The boulevard were sprinkled with water. There were banners everywhere, and the gateways were decorated for celebration. The citizens were elated, and the city resounded with chanting of Vedic hymns. As the women of city affectionately looked at the Lord, their eyes wide open with love, they scattered flower garlands, yogurt, parched rice, and newly grown sprouts upon him. Lord Krishna then presented to the Yadu king all the wealth that had fallen on the battlefield, namely the countless ornaments of the dead soul warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Should I continue, Prabhuji?
What verse are we at now?
40.
How many verses is there, Ranga? I think there's 53. Is
Yeah.
it?
57.
Oh, we'll read a couple more then, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. 41. 17 times the king of Magadha met defeat in this very way, and yet throughout these defeats, he fought on with his Akshauhani divisions against the force of the Yadu dynasty, who were protected by Sri Krishna. By the power of Lord Krishna, the Vrishnis would invariably annihilate all of Jarasandha's forces. And when all his soldiers had been killed, the king released by his enemies would again go away. Just as the 18th battle was about to take place, a barbarian warrior named Kala Yavana, sent by Narada, appeared on the battlefield. Arriving at Mathura, this Yavana laid siege to the city with 30 million barbarian soldiers. He had never found a human rival worth fighting, but he had heard that the Vrishnis were his equals. When Lord Krishna and Lord Sankarsana saw Kalayavana, Krishna thought about the situation and said, "Ah, a great danger now threatens the Yadus from two sides." Yes.
Mhm. That's beautiful. All right. Ranga, would you like to read from there?
Yep. Okay.
Text 46.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. This Yavana is besieging us already, and the mighty king of Magadha will soon arrive here. If not today, then tomorrow or the next day. If powerful Jarasandha comes while we two are busy fighting Kalayavan, Jarasandha may kill our relatives or else take them away to his capital. Therefore, we will immediately construct a fortress that no human force can penetrate. Let us settle our family members there and then kill the barbarian king. After thus discussing the matter with Balaram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead had a fortress 12 yojanas in circumference built within the sea. Inside that fort, he had a city built containing all kinds of wonderful things. In the construction of that city could be seen the full scientific knowledge and architectural skill of Vishvakarma. There were wide avenues, commercial roads, and courtyards laid out on ample plots of land. There were splendid parks and also gardens stocked with trees and creepers from the heavenly planets. The gateway towers were topped with golden turrets touching the sky, and their upper levels were fashioned of crystal quartz. The gold-covered houses were adorned in front with golden pots and on top with jeweled roofs, and their floors were inlaid with precious emeralds. Besides the houses stood treasury buildings, warehouses, and stables for fine horses, all built of silver and brass. Each residence had a watchtower and also a temple for its household deity. Filled with citizens of all four social orders, the city was especially beautified by the palaces of Sri Krishna and the Lord of the Yadus. Lord Indra brought Sri Krishna the Sudama assembly hall, standing within which a mortal man is not subject to the laws of mortality. Indra also gave the Parijata tree. Lord Varuna offered horses as swift as the mind, and some of which were pure dark blue, others white. The treasurer of the demigods, Kuvera, gave his 8 mystic treasures, and the rulers of various planets each presented their own opulences. The Supreme Lord, having come to the earth, O king, these demigods now offered him whatever powers of control he had previously delegated to them for the exercise of their particular authority. After transporting all his subjects to the new city by the power of his mystic Yogamaya, Lord Krishna consulted with Lord Balaram, who had remained in Mathura to protect it. Then, wearing a garland of lotuses but bearing no weapons, Lord Krishna went out of Mathura by its main gate.
By
Oh,
its main gate.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah, no, it's a little
What's
quicker than
going to happen? He hasn't got any weapons.
yeah.
Oh no! And there's millions and millions of soldiers out there.
Hey guys, that's pretty good.
Oh,
Hey, I
it
gotta.
leaves us on a nice edge.
Yeah, it's gonna be even better on the next chapter. You'll see what happens. So, yeah, some really cool stuff coming up. This is some fun stuff. This is Krishna's adult life. I mean, he never passed the blooming youth. In other words, for all the 125 years, I believe it is, that he stayed on this planet, he never exhibited any symptoms of age at all. He was always a blooming youth, and it was very, very good. So this is a wonderful story, very adventurous. You know, this is where Krishna gets to kill the demons. So if we look in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very clear about what he came to do. Yada yada hi dharmasha, glanir bhavati bharata, adbhutanam hi dharmasha, tadatmanam shri jamyaham. So whenever and wherever there's a decline in religious principles and a predominant rise of irreligion, Krishna says at that time, I descend myself. So he's come here to do a mission. So he's having fun doing it. He's delivering everybody. Everything he does, even when he kills you, you're liberated. What a blessing. So the Supreme Lord is all auspicious. Everything he does is love. He doesn't do anything but love. That's all he really does. It may look different, but it's not, because he's come to take care of business. He goes on to say, this is in 4:8, Prichanaya Sadanam Vinashya Chaduskritam Dharma Samstapanartaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. So, in order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish the principles of Dharma, I come again and again. I invent myself in every millennium. So Krishna comes literally in every millennium. And he comes millennium after millennium. There's one statement that the Lord, it cannot be measured how many times he comes to get us, how many incarnations he takes, how many universes they're going on in. These activities are going on simultaneously. The Lord is competent to do everything simultaneously. It's not a problem. It's not like he's distracted. Like we can fix our mind on one thing for a moment and the mind is flickering and going different places. The Lord has got trillions of things going on at one time, and he's not denigrated in any way. In other words, it's not like, oh, he was distracted. Now, sometimes he plays like he is. And in the next chapter, you'll kind of see he's a little tricky. He's a little tricky. He can do some things that you wouldn't expect. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in the next chapter. I'm going to make you wait. But very, very cool stuff. The Lord is much more intelligent than we are, even though we do our best to cheat the Lord. The Lord is the cheating of gamblers. In other words, he's the gambling of cheats. So you cannot defeat Krishna, not in any sense of the word. Krishna can never be defeated. And everyone will come. Actually, there's a Christian song that says, every knee will bow. And that's a fact. So ultimately, every knee will bow before the Lord. And that's this whole thing. So what happened? Okay. Any questions, by the way, any comments anybody wants to make? Just interject. I'm just going to recap the chapter fairly quickly.
I had a couple of thoughts. At the start, it describes how Krishna and Balaram have a very small army. And then they're swamped by all these, millions and millions of soldiers. And I was thinking of Bhagavad Gita when it starts off that battle and they're blowing their conch shells. And we hear how Krishna and everyone are blowing their transcendental conch shells, and Duryodhana is quaking in his boots because he's so afraid before the battle. Whereas here it seems to be on the other foot, in that it seems like Krishna hasn't got anyone on his side this time. And he's going to be swamped. Then the second thing I thought about at the end there, that he definitely looks after his devotees, because he builds them a whole city and they've got everything that they need and they just move in. There's no applying for a mortgage or having to sign a rent agreement or something, to get this property. It's just given to them. and everyone has the same. They've all got this tower and a place for their
Uh-oh.
deities.
We're
You
having
know,
bad signal.
everything's there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Guys, we're having a little bit of a poor signal tonight for some reason. It says your internet connection is unstable. Normally I don't have that, but every once in a while we'll be frozen up. So I apologize. Is anybody seeing that on their screen yet?
No, we seem to be all right.
Okay, well, you're freezing up a little bit, but hopefully it's not going to be on the recording. Okay, so well, that's a good, very good point, Sarangavati. However, it does say that when Krishna and Balaram went out and blew their conch shells, it did shatter their hearts, and they became fearful, even though there were 23 Akshohini armies there on the battlefield. When Krishna and Balaram blew their transcendental conch shells, it still shattered everyone's heart, just like it did for the sons of Dhritarashtra at the battle of Kurukshetra, because they know Krishna is all-devouring death. And by the way, Krishna is Kala, he is time, and in time everything passes. Nothing remains the same in the river of time, so to speak. These universes are created and annihilated, partially created, partially annihilated, over and over and over, billions and trillions of times. Now, for us, it may mean billions of years, but to Krishna, that's insignificant because he is time. Time I am, the destroyer of all the worlds, and I've come to engage all people. So this is the story. When you leave Krishna in the spiritual world, you leave his shelter. Not actually, you're still under his shelter, and he's rewarding all your desires since time immemorial. But now you fall under the laws of samsara, the wheel of birth and death, which you are crushed underneath regularly. The wheel is rolling from childhood to boyhood to youth to old age, and then to sickness, death, and then under the wheel again, you're crushed to dust or burned to ash. So no one wants that. So to get out of that cycle, we have to surrender to Krishna. It's very simple to do. Actually, surrendering to Krishna is a simple act of will. Anyone could do it right now. There's no need that you have to become highly qualified. There's stories where it says that people have gotten the mercy of the Lord in just 1 second or less, from one act. We just heard that about Trivakra, Kubja, where she only did one act of devotion and bang, she got the direct association of Krishna. That's pretty powerful, don't you think? So if a prostitute can do it, if somebody else can do it, I mean, certainly we can do it. It's not going to be an issue. We just have to follow this process called sadhana bhakti. In other words, engage ourselves in devotional service. Our mind, our words, our body, everything that we have, we can use for Krishna's service, which is what we're doing right now. So, very good point. And Krishna, he transported everyone in the city and all their paraphernalia. And the palace was built, and this massive palace was built with Vishvakarma, was there doing all that work. See, these things, whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve, right? Well, that's because Krishna's doing that. We're little bitty Krishnas. We can conceive it and achieve it in a small way, but Krishna can do it in the largest of ways. So he doesn't have any issue at all manifesting, just like it says, his chariots of gold with all of his ornaments and with all of his weapons, and the Balaram's favorite weapons, Sakrashan's favorite weapons appear, and he looks at his God, but my dear, brother, we got it. It's our time. It's our time to shine. This is what we came for. Let's go take care of some business. So that was their attitude about it. So any other point or question, though, Ranga or Vamsa, you got anything? You want to wait? You want to?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I was just thinking about Jarasandha, who was allowed to go back, even though he was defeated 17 times. And then I guess it was because the Lord wanted to annihilate all these demon armies. He was just letting them go and then him get a whole bunch of army again, so he could just get them to come and attack again and again and destroy them, like you were saying. The the verse from Bhagavad Gita where his mission was to destroy these demonic personalities in the world, and he always does things in a way that's so wonderful that he just lets Jarasandha go. He goes and gets more and more people each time, and they all get killed. Uh,
And then Kalyavana brings 30 million barbarians. What did you see what happens to Kalyavana?
oh, yeah,
It's
like a
man.
precious.
Oh yeah. So Krishna, he knows he's actually luring them in. He's kind
Mhm.
of like the spider in the trap. He's setting the trap. They think they're setting a trap.
Yeah.
But Krishna decided he wanted to build Dwarka for his final pastimes.
Mhm.
And so therefore, he left Mathura. It's not like Jarasandha and all of that was going to be a problem for him. It's not like that was going to be a problem. Although these 23 armies had appeared, it was not going to, there was no problem. Okay, so when Jarasandha come back, Krishna just said, well, they may kill some of our relatives, so maybe we should get out of here just for safety's sake. And that was his excuse to build Dwarka. He didn't have to build Dwarka, but he wanted to. So that's a good point. Thank you for that. Very, very good. Anything else, anybody? Okay, um, so if you go back through this chapter, there's a few little highlight points that we should probably discuss. So first of all, the way this chapter starts out is that Kansa's been killed. So Ashti and Prapti, the wives of Kansa, they go to Jarasandha and they blow the whistle. Okay, so they're going to Jarasandha, their father. This is their father, and they go like, "Hey, we're widows. Krishna comes in here and drags him off and beats him to death in the arena and drags him around like a big lion, and drags him all around. Actually, killed Kansa with very little, um, you know, uh, fanfare. He really did more fanfare with the wrestlers and all the guys that were trying to come out and fight Krishna because they were kicked and broken into pieces and dismembered in ungodly ways. He just went up. He just kind of was like, he was already tired of the whole thing. He just jumps up on the dais, drags Concha down, and just punches him and kills him. So Concha got out pretty easy, really, if you think about it, compared to some of the deaths of some of these other great demons. So, but they told Jarasandha, and Jarasandha was just eat up with it. He was, oh my God, he became so mad that he, with the greatest possible endeavor, it says, he went to rid the earth of the Yadavas. He, he didn't care what it took. He's going to get rid of them. He is on a mission. And this drive that he has is a setup for Krishna to rid the world of the Duskritam, right? Of the Duskritam, of the demons, of those persons who are envious, who are filled with lust and greed and they're covetous and they're filled with animosity towards one another. They're not kind living entities. They're exploiting their civilians and exploiting their subjects. And they're not ruling in a religious way. And so therefore Krishna wanted to exterminate them from the earth. Try to imagine had they not been exterminated, what the earth would be like today. Because they've got a regrowth of fungus going among us, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, if you really look at it, the world is regrowing demons wholesale. I mean, there's so many demons in the world, and they're coming on strong. So I got a feeling Krishna's got a plan, take care of all of this stuff. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Prabhupada, um, he insinuates, the potential future, some kind of catastrophe. But he also said that Krishna can change his mind. Those are the words of Prabhupada. So they wonder, why has there not been this third world war where hundreds and hundreds of millions or even billions of people are exterminated? But Krishna can change his mind. Can change his mind. There's one story about that. I won't make it long, but there was, Prabhupada went to Russia. One boy was met and made. The other boys were trying to set Prabhupada up to be arrested. Imagine had he gotten arrested in Russia, there may not be a Hare Krishna movement. So he got one boy there, and from that one boy, now Russia has become, I mean, unbelievably Krishna conscious. As a matter of fact, Modi just gave Putin the Bhagavad Gita as it is, the ISKCON version. Isn't that amazing? It's wonderful. So, hopefully Putin will read it. It doesn't seem like he's read it before. Maybe this would be a good time to check it out. So anyway, we don't know what Krishna's actually got in mind, and he's having fun. Krishna's having fun with it, but he's benefiting everybody in the process. So they were surrounded in the capital on all sides by this 23 armies with elephants, horses, chariots, soldiers, spearmen, arrows, the whole thing. And so what does Krishna do? So when he saw their armies all assembled, it says that he saw that the city was being surrounded by his army like a great ocean overflowing its shores. So try to imagine how many people that is. I don't know if anybody knows what an Akshohini is, but I understand that it's full phalanxes of soldiers. In other words, a whole battle group. In other words, an army, individual army in and of itself. So here there's 23 armies, 17 times.
Yeah, if you allow me to share, I have a slide that shows what an Akshauhini is.
Share, please share. That was wonderful. Thank you for that. Oh, how did I do it? Oh, yeah, hold on. I got to adjust my little thing here. I'm allowing you. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, an Akshauhini, it has like the smallest unit is called a pati, and it has one chariot, one elephant, 5 foot soldiers, and 3 horses with the horsemen. So this is the smallest unit. 3 of that makes
Okay.
Mukha, and then 3 of that makes, and so finally you get an Akshauhini. So
Yeah.
all these parts put together, and there are 218,700 total soldiers in an Akshauhini. And so Jarasandha came with 23, and in the Mahabharata war in Kurukshetra, the Pandavas had 7, and the Kauravas had 11 Akshauhinis. So so Jarasandha attacked with more than the armies of Pandavas and Kauravas put together to attack Krishna with the 23, because this adds up to only 18, and Krishna was able to finish them off.
I love that. Thanks for giving us a little more elucidation about that. If you figure it's 2.3 million for the 11, then for 23, it's going to be 5 million plus.
Yeah.
But that's not many compared to Kalyavan's 30 million.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
many. So Krishna just was getting warmed up. It's like, okay, bring on the good stuff, Krishna just made short work of them, So I love that. Thank you so much for that. That kind of gives us a little bit of an idea of how much wholesale destruction had to be taken care of to rid the earth of these horrible, demoniac, envious people. So very wonderful. These are elephants and horses and chariots and spearmen and all kind of crazy stuff. I could just imagine the movie of this. Can you? I want to see this movie right here. This would be one for Steven Spielberg to get busy with. So, all right. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I'm glad we saw that. All right. So Krishna determines, I will destroy Jarasandha's army, consisting of all these soldiers, horses, chariots, elephants, and so forth. And he said, though, that Jarasandha shouldn't be hurt, because if Jarasandha's hurt, he can't go bring the other 17, which they're waiting for, because they want to take care of this. And he goes to Balaram and he says, this is our purpose. Purpose of my present incarnation is to relieve the earth of its burden, protect the pious, kill the impious. Is what we just said. Yadahi dharmashat, right? Glani bhavati bharcha. So we just said these things. So he said, I also assume other bodies to protect religion and end religion wherever it flourishes in due course of time. So it doesn't matter He's doing this in all universes everywhere. Everything is going on simultaneously. It's not an issue for Krishna. So when the Lord was thinking like this, all of a sudden, it's almost like, I saw one on a TV screen, I saw this movie called Iron Man. Okay, I didn't see the whole thing. But Iron Man is some kind of scientist who comes up with some way to create a suit where he becomes kind of invincible. And all he has to do is think about it, and the suit just comes and gets all over it, right? His armor comes on, he gets it on, he gets his little fist things, his hand things, his helmet comes on, and he's ready to fly and fight a battle and kill everybody. So that reminds me, we want to see that. And we make up stuff. Iron Man? Who's Iron Man? No, there's no such thing as Iron Man. Okay, it's just some figment of someone's imagination and has nothing to do with reality. There's no benefit in watching a movie like that. Just nonsensical things, making things up because Krishna has done these things. We want to see them. And we're aware that Krishna is capable of doing these things. And therefore, we're creating superheroes in absence of our knowledge of Krishna. If we just add Krishna and we understand who he is, all the adventure, all the romance, everything you could ever want is included in the Srimad Bhagavatam. You don't have to read all nonsense fictional stuff that has no significance or bearing on anything and will do nothing for you at all. There's no piety in it. There's just karmic reaction for idle time and phantasmagoria in your own mind. What we're thinking is some concoction, and we're trying to enjoy some concoction by manufacturing some superhero that never exists, like Spider-Man, Batman, Iron Man, the Avengers. I mean, I don't know what all they have. Superman. They make up these people because they want Krishna. And Krishna does these things, but none of those other personalities exist. So I just thought that would be a good kind of a little analysis of how nonsensical we become by creating superheroes rather than accepting God as the great superhero that he truly is. So he tells Balaram, he says, elder brother, this is, we've got to take care of our dependents, the Yadus. He said, so just see your chariot has appeared, and the purpose for which we have taken birth, secure the welfare of devotees, remove the earth of the burden of these 23 armies. So Krishna says, let's get busy, Balaram. So they just get on their chariot, start going out, not even really preparing or worrying about it like you would in a real military situation. Krishna was confident that he would be able to rid the world of these demons. And so they go out with just a very small contingent of soldiers. All of the ladies get up on the roof. They're crying. Oh, no. Here goes Krishna. He's not going to make it, right? So, but it says that he did blow his conch shell, and the innermost soldiers' hearts began to tremble with fear, Ranga. They began to tremble with fear. So Krishna's never, it may look like for a moment, like the women were thinking, oh no, just as soon as they go out, they're surrounded by this ocean and they disappear. Their chariots and their flags and everything disappear. They can no longer see the Krishna and his army. All they can see is this horde of 23 armies attacking Krishna. So Jarasandha is so puffed up. He says, I do not wish to fight alone with you, since it would be a shame to fight with a mere boy. Fighting with a mere boy. Remember, Krishna's got told this 2 or 3 times already, right? In the arena in Mathura, they said he's a mere boy. The wrestlers didn't even want to fight him. They felt like, you guys are just little kids. What are you even doing here? Right? That didn't work out well for them, did it? It didn't seem to work out well for them thinking like that. So he told Rama, he said, you should gather your courage and fight me if you think you can do it. If you think you can do it. You know, it used to be when we were kids, we're going, come on, think. If you think you can do it, come on, let's see what you can do. So this is the false ego. Prabhupada said there's two egos. The real ego is that I am proud of Krishna. Because ego is a sense of pride. Like I'm very good, I'm this or I'm that, I'm powerful, I'm rich, I'm famous. I'm just like you read about the description of the Asuras in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm rich, I'm powerful, I'm famous, I'm happy, I'm wealthy. I've killed this enemy, I'll kill this enemy. Then soon I'll be perfect and powerful and happy over everyone. And that's the idea, is what they're trying to do. So he tells, if you think you can do it, you may give up your body when it is cut to pieces by my arrows. This is his puffed up nature, that I'm going to cut you to pieces. Have you ever seen these fights, like these boxing matches? They all go in like going, I'm going to bust you up. But there's only one winner, right? Somebody's going to be embarrassed for the end of the day. They all going in thinking they're big stuff. They walk out with their tail tucked under their legs because somebody got defeated. Okay. So we need to be humble. The real ego is I'm proud of Krishna. The false ego is I'm proud of me, separate from Krishna, because I am Krishna. That's what we're thinking. I am God. This is mine. Everything I survey is mine. This is my wife, my children, my house, my money, my prowess. Just see how wonderful I am. You see what I'm saying? This is the attitude of the demon. They don't realize that all these things are created by Krishna for your benefit, out of love, you know, for you. Krishna serves the devotees. That's what his mission is to please the devotees. And he'll please the demons by engaging in warfare with them, and he's doing that now. So you'll either give up your body because I'm going to cut you to pieces, and thus you may attain to heaven. In other words, Krishna may attain to heaven. He may become a demigod. This is how ignorant he was. Or else you can kill me, but at least we're fighting in the battle, and that's okay. So now what does Krishna say? In text 19, this is pretty cool. Krishna says, the Supreme Lord said, real heroes do not simply boast, but rather they show their prowess in action. We cannot take seriously the words of one who's full of anxiety and who wants to die. So this is Krishna's attitude towards Jarasandha, great king of the world. So it says, like the wind covers the sun or with clouds or fire with dust, they marched onto the two descendants of Madhu with his huge assemblage of armies, surrounded them and their soldiers. And the women stood, and they're looking from the high gates and palace towers. And when they couldn't see Krishna and Balaram's chariots, they began to be filled with grief, and they fainted away. The women are, oh, this is the effect Krishna has on women. They're either fainting because he's so attractive and irresistible, or they're worried about him in this situation. Oh no, we've lost Krishna. So they saw that he was dealing with all this savage rain of arrows. Oh my God. But then Krishna got a little fired up, and Sanga, his bow, he started firing his bows with a relentless barrage of arrows in a circle of fire, it says. It was like a blazing circle of fire. And in this blazing circle, all the elephants, the cavalry, the chariots, the flags, the drivers, all the masters, the foot soldiers, everyone was shattered. The place was covered with rivers of blood. And in that blood, a river, there were limbs, humans, trunks, arms, legs. It says they were cut to pieces. Their arms resembled snakes. Their heads resembled turtles. The dead elephants looked like islands in the river of blood, and their hands and thighs appeared like fish. Hair was like water weeds. Look at this. Bows were like waves. Oh my God. So the rivers teemed with all of these accoutrements from the fallen soldiers, including all their wonderful ornaments, their crowns, their helmets. They were very bedecked, very proud. Oh, I'm going to fight. Now look at it. Chopped to pieces on the battlefield. So here it says that for the person who actually orchestrates the whole creation, the maintenance and destruction of the three worlds, possesses unlimited spiritual qualities, it's hardly amazing that he subdues his opposing party. I mean, who could oppose Krishna? No one. No one could oppose Krishna. So it's hardly amazing, is what they're saying. But for us, it's tremendously amazing. And we're very grateful that the Lord would come and do this. So Balaram had seized Jarasandha from his chariot, was going to want to take him off. He had the noose of Varuna, and he was tying up Jarasandha. And Govinda told him, he said, no, we still have a purpose to fulfill. So he asked Balaram to stop. He said, don't tie him up. Let him go. So he had been honored. And you remember what Bhagavad Gita says about honor, right? What's the verse, Famsa, you know? About honor. You know that one?
For a person of respect, dishonor is worse than death.
Thank you. Yeah. And so when they got the one who killed all the children, right? What's his name? Ashwatthama? Is that right?
Ashwatthama.
Yeah. So instead of killing him, they just cut off his top knot with his jewel, because that was a fate worse than death. He had killed the children, the sleeping babies in their bed. And so Krishna, instead of killing him, he took off his top knot. Think about it. That's how they wore their hair, the Kshatriyas. They had a jewel in a crest and their hair was tied together. So he just cut that off and sent him home. Try to imagine how embarrassing that would be. Try to imagine how embarrassed Jarasandha was when he had to go back. As a matter of fact, he wanted to pay penances on the way home. And he was convinced by other puffed up demoniac types that, no, this is just some simple matter of karma. Don't worry, you put it back together. You go back. You'll get it next time, okay? It's just a little karma. It must have been somebody else's problem. That's what they were trying to tell him. So again, he gave up this idea of self-abnegation, and which I thought was pretty good. So they gave him mundane arguments that he should give up this. Instead, it was just karma, and you'll be able to overcome it. So he returned to the king of the Magadhas, and I thought that was pretty cool what happened. And as the Lord entered the city after this activity was over, he was, of course, greeted with kettle drums and horns and Venus flutes, mridungas, everything playing, sprinkle everything with water, the banners everywhere, decorated, celebes, the citizens were elated, the city resounded with the Vedic hymns. Very wonderful. This is kind of like Ram coming back to Ayodhya. You know, you try to envision that. It's kind of the same thing. And of course, the women their eyes are wide open with love, and they're sending garlands, and they're throwing rice and sprouts and every kind of thing at him. So now then Krishna presented to the Yadu king at that time all of the spoils of the battlefield. So try to imagine what wealth that was. This was the wealth of 23 armies. And Krishna gave it all to the king there. So countless ornaments of gold and so many different things. So this happened 17 times, we talked about, right? And this is how mad Jarasandha was, or how proud Jarasandha was, that he thought he could keep bringing them back. Now, when the 18th battle was about to take place, this is when it got weird. Because then the barbarian warrior Kalayavana, who was, by the way, sent by who? Does anybody know who sent him? Do we know?
Narada.
And there goes Narada again, man. He is a troublemaker. Woo! But he's an incarnation of the Lord to set this stage for activities, right? So he's not really a troublemaker. He's actually a trouble solver. And what he's been able to do is cleanse the earth through these activities. So Narada had got him going. Kalyavana shows up, appears on the battlefield. There's stories within the story, by the way. And you could read this, and it goes on, and it's kind of like, you ever seen those boxes that are a real big gift box? You take the top off, there's another box inside. You take that top off, there's another box inside. You take it off, and it just keeps going until the box is this small. It starts out with a huge box. That's these stories that we read about in Srimad Bhagavatam. They're unlimitedly intriguing and intelligent and genius and unbelievable. There's no better script writer than the Lord God himself. Who could be a better script writer? Who do you think it could be? You think Shakespeare's better? Yeah. The Iliad? No. Most of these things are all nonsense. Some material romance story. 2 dead bodies. Come on. How attractive is that? Right? Not very good. So Krishna, he is the greatest of all screenwriters. So anyway, now when he saw this Kalyavana and he thought, oh my God, there's 30 million of these things coming at us, barbarians. He thought, well, let's think this through. This is a good time to develop Dwarka. So then what does he do? It says, he discussed the matter with Balaram first, right? Which I think is pretty cool, right? Krishna, he is Balaram. He's expanded into Balaram. He's literally talking to himself. You know what I mean? When he does all this, even the Radha, he's loving himself because these are his energies. He's the energetic. He's created all this for the sake of rasa, for the sake of pleasure, for the sake of interaction. And it's wonderful because he's given us this free will to create and write our own destinies, however we decide. And when we surrender to Krishna, and finally, then we go back home. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chamedivyam evam yo veti tapatha chakcha deham panarjanma naitimam iti sorjana. And that means that if you do understand the transcendental nature of his activities and his appearance, you do not, upon leaving the body, take a birth again in this world, but you attain to Krishna's birth. That's how kind he is. Just know me. Get to know me. Just get to know me. That's all you got to do with Krishna. Just get to know me. You'll love me. I'm irresistible, unconquerable love. And once you feel that in your life, you can't go back. You can't go back. Once Krishna's got a little bit of hook in you, he's bringing you home. And you're going to have to go through some changes, okay, because you got to get rid of your Maya, but you're coming home. So Krishna is doing that. So what did he do? Built a fortress 12 yojanas in circumference within the sea. Now, guess what? They found it. Did you read about this? Has anybody heard about this? Yeah. Did you know that the water in this part of India there, the waves are almost impossible to navigate, and the undertow, and it's almost, you can't almost live there. Krishna created this environment there. But they found the city of Dwarka under the water, and they found the columns, and they found all of this stuff from 5,000 years ago. And the only problem is it's so dangerous to go down there. There's these gigantic sharks and killer whales and all kind of stuff, and it's infested with these types of critters. And it's very difficult to attain to this location. I think Krishna did that on purpose, don't you? Because he wants those who want to forget him to forget him, because he's accompanying them or assisting them, accommodating them to forget him. If you don't want to know Krishna, you don't have to know Krishna. He's not going to force himself on you. He says, Yeyata mang prapadyante, tangstadaiva bhajamyaham, mama vartmanavartante, manusya partha sarvasha. And what he's saying is as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. All of them, everyone, they all follow my path in all respects. Because why? Because Krishna is giving everyone everything they desire and letting them fulfill their own desires and see the end result of their karma played out, so that they can learn the lessons that comes from that karmic reaction so that they can surrender to the Lord once and for all and give up all karmic reaction in the material world and go back home, back to Godhead. And that's the key to this thing. So they found this Dwarka now. And it says, I just got to read some of this to you because this is so cool in 5053. It is one of the coolest things. It says, wide avenues, Vishvakarma designed the city. There were commercial roads, courtyards, ample plots of land, splendid parks, garden stocks of trees from the heavenly planets. They had planted all this stuff. The gateway towers toppled golden turrets touching the sky. Upper levels fashioned in crystal quartz. I said Krishna quartz. Crystal quartz. Sorry. and the gold covered houses adorned in front, golden pots in front, topped with jeweled roof. Jeweled roofs. How'd you like your roof made out of jewels, guys? This is Dwarka. This is Krishna's city. What does his city look like? We know what Nashville looks like and Memphis. I don't see, well, there's a gold domed building in Georgia. Did you know that? The state capitol's got gold on it. But it's so thin that they have to replace it every so often. It's called gold leaf. It's just barely like on there at all. They didn't have any wealth. Krishna did. So precious emeralds, the floors are laid with. There were treasury buildings, warehouse, stables for the fine horses. All of these buildings were made out of silver and brass, it says, which I thought were pretty cool. Every house had a temple. Every single home had a temple for its own deity. And of course, the place was beautified by the palaces of Krishna and the Lord of the Yadavas and Balaram's palaces. So everybody came to pay tribute. Indra came. He brought the Sudharma Assembly Hall. It says that if you go into that assembly hall, a mortal man is no longer subjected to the laws of mortality. And he also gave him the Parijata tree, which I thought was cool. Varuna offered horses swift as the mind. The treasure demigods gave 8 mystic treasures. Rulers of the planets all presented their own opulences to Krishna. And these demigods had now offered him whatever powers of control he had previously delegated to them for the exercise of their particular authority. They gave it back to the Lord. Now, that's an important point, guys. This cycle, this 360 cycle we're talking about means you dovetail it. You ever seen what a dovetail looks like? It touches the tip of the nose of the pigeon, dovetailing of the dove. So it looks like a perfect circle. So when you give it back to Krishna, that is the perfect circle. That is the circle of our life. Everything goes to Krishna. Yagyartat karma nonyatra loko yom karma bandhana. You have to serve the Lord in sacrifice. Otherwise, you're bound by the karmic reaction of your own activity. That's how that works. So we don't want to do that. We want to not do that. So the Lord decided that he would just transport everybody back over to the new city. Could you imagine being with Krishna at this time and these mystical things that were happening to you? Like even the cowherd boys had gone to Kaliya Serpent, they had all died. Nanda died. His father died on the banks of the Jamuna. And Krishna went there and brought him back to life. Now you tell me where this is going on. Now Jesus brought a couple of people back to life. Okay? Krishna brought all these people back to life, whatever he wanted to. He could do however he wants. He's the master of all mystic yoga. He is Yogeshwara. He is the creator of the yoga system. He's the action of the yoga system, the purpose of the yoga system, and the goal of the yoga system is Krishna. That's it. And everything is subsidiary to that. Everything is subservient to that. So he took them all by his power of Yoga Maya, mystic power. And he asked Balaram to remain in Mathura to protect it. And then he went out of Mathura by its main gate. So that, guys, is a wonderful, wonderful story And there's much more to it than what we're talking about, but it's about as much as I think we're going to get to. Look at that, 8:03. Woo! Hey, we ran everybody off, going an hour and a half and 2 hours. You can call them all back and say, come back. Gayatri's done in an hour. All right, but the sincere people, we know who we are. Okay. Look at this. I want to show you something. See that right there? We know who you are. So I'll leave you with this. I think you'll appreciate this. In 647, Krishna says, Yoginam api sarve shammat gatinantaratmanaha. Shrodavan bhajate yoman. Sa me yuktat mato mataha. Now, of all of the yogis, of all of them, you know, we're talking about Ashtanga yogis, karma yogis, jnana yogis, you figure out what kind of yoga you want to be. But he says, those yogis who abide in me with great faith, worshiping me with transcendental loving service, they're bowing down before me. They are most intimately united with me in yoga, and he considers them to be the highest of all. So I'd like you to take that with you this evening. Okay? Carry that message in your heart and soul, and realize that when you engage yourself in loving devotional service to the Lord, the demigods are envious of you. What's higher than the demigods? Vaishnava. What's higher than a Brahmana? Vaishnava. Krishna says this over and over again. Prabhupada elaborates on this discussion. So be a Vaishnava. That's the key. Be a Vaishnava. In all that you do, all that you offer, all that you give away, do as a sacrifice unto me, Krishna says. Do not fear. I will protect you. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Prabhuji, about the Parijata, there's a story for that as well, right? Satyabhama, when she went back to Indra, so they were returning the things that Narakasura had taken, like the Lord killed Narakasura and freed up the 16,100 women that he married, and then he had to return certain things these women had taken back to Indra, and then Satyabhama was with him when he killed, and so she saw this tree and she wanted the tree, and then the Lord said, "Okay, Indra, you have to give this tree to my wife," but he said he won't. And then Indra fought Krishna, and of course he lost. Indra lost, and the Lord said, "Okay," and Indra agreed that you can have the tree as long as you're on earth or something like that. So then they brought the tree to Dwarka, and there was and to so that his main principal wives wouldn't fight. He had the tree on Satyabhama's yard, but then the branches used to go to Rukmini, and the flowers used to fall there. I kind
Oh,
of think of that.
wonderful story. Yeah. And where is that story found? Do you know?
I think it comes later when we discuss more about his wives, or I'll have to find the source for that.
That's a great story. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wondered where the reference to that was, because that's a wonderful story pastime. Now, one pastime I think with Parijata flower, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Prabhupada receive a Parijata flower garland from Krishna? Wasn't there a story about that? Are you familiar with that story? Yeah. So in the courtyard in Vrindavan, where Prabhupada would be up at night and he'd be dancing and singing and chanting after everyone was gone to sleep, there was one Brahmin who lived there. Prabhupada lived in a little room. You couldn't even stand up in it. You know, I mean, it was so small. It's just a little concrete room, and he had just his books and a little desk and a mat where he could rest. And so he had gotten up. He was in the middle of the night chanting in ecstasy, and this incredible fragrance came over the whole compound. And the devotee was woken up by just this amazing fragrance and the sound of kirtan and just ecstasy. And So he goes off to see what it is. It's Prabhupada. And he's wearing this garland that goes all the way to his toes, all the way down to his feet. And it's the fragrance is so transcendental, it's filling up the whole place. And he goes, where could you receive such a garland? Well, he didn't say, he actually asked Prabhupada about it. He said, what are you doing? Where did you get this garland? Why is it smelling so wonderful? Why are you chanting? Why can't you stop? Prabhupada wouldn't stop. He was in such a state of ecstasy, he didn't even see the guy. And so he's like going on. So the next day when Prabhupada's up, he asked Prabhupada about that. And Prabhupada said, Krishna gave me that.
Oh.
He said, because they were not in season and they were not available in that area. So somehow or another, he had flowers that were not even in season
Right.
and were never grown in that area. And I guess, and Prabhupada's wearing this garland that the fragrance is so, it's overwhelming. It was totally intoxicating. So try to imagine these things that happen to the pure devotee. One time Prabhupada was doing a kirtan and he stopped. The devotees are going and Prabhupada's, continue like this. And Prabhupada's just staring off in a state of ecstasy. And at the end of it, he asked the devotees, did you see that? Did you see them? And they go like, see what, Prabhupada? Narada Muni was here. The demigods were here. He's talking about Brahma and Shiva. Everybody came for the kirtan. It was such ecstatic. And all the devotees are going, Prabhupada, we didn't see anything. Because you do not have transcendental vision yet. Just like Krishna said to Arjuna, he said, you need divine eyes. I give you divine eyes so that you can see me. That's the key. Let's keep working at it until we get those divine eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That sound fair enough?
Yeah.
I think it's by regularly hearing classes in the Srimad Bhagavatam. At least that's what the first couple of verses in Srimad Bhagavatam have to say about it. So if I were you, I'd just stick with whatever the conclusion of the Srimad Bhagavatam is, even if no one else does it. Even if no one else does. We don't follow the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
The road back home can be narrow, and only a few go there. But the path of destruction is broad, and many enter therein, according to the Bible. So let's stay out of that path and stay on the path of Bhakti Jog. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed your association very nicely. And repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama.
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Thank you so much, everybody, for being with us tonight. And we look forward to seeing you the next time.
Hare
Okay.
Hare.
Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Gayatri Prabhu and Rangavati Mataji.
Thank you so much.
Dhanyavad Sitalas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.